Within 20 years, if you want to see an internal combustion engine, chances are you'll have to visit a museum, just like the big song about the big yellow taxi in the trees. Car companies know this, governments know this, because we can't afford the amount of CO2 we're putting into the atmosphere. So what's the answer? Well, this is the answer: Hyundai's Ioniq. It comes in three drivetrains: a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, and this top of the range electric car. There's two trim levels: Premium and Elite. Premium is the top one. The Premium gets all of the stuff thrown at it, and it retails at almost $50,000. But this is an entry-level electric car. That's really unusual. If you buy a Tesla, you'll be paying upwards of $200,000 to $300,000. This shape isn't for everyone. What it does offer is good aerodynamics. The tyres are not super low profile. They're low rolling resistance, and on this model they're 17-inch. The really amazing thing is that unlike most electric cars, this one has an engine actually under the bonnet instead of secreted behind the back seats or down beneath the axle somewhere. The 355 litre boot is manually operated because everything that requires an electrical motor takes up energy, and that's the last thing you want to do in a car that's just got 230 kilometres of alleged range. Sorry about the dirt on the back of this. It's done some good work this week. You access it by lifting up the hatch. A lot of it is taken up by this, which is the charging cable for you to charge it at a 240 volt anywhere in the country, at home or in your garage. Seats obviously go down in a 60-40 split, and you can lower the rear headrest so that the driver has a bit of view, because the rear vision through here is fairly limited, and this spoiler cuts right in half any rear vision you actually have. This back window is only about this big when you're looking at it from inside. Most of your rear vision actually comes through this little piece of what looks like plastic but is in fact a viewing window. Space back here is surprisingly good. The seats set for me to drive gives me about 5 or 6 centimeters, and with the seat just a little bit higher, I'd be able to fit my feet right under the seat in front. You lock and unlock the car with the key in your pocket simply by pressing these buttons on the doors. The mirrors will have unfolded as you approach the car because the car knows you're coming. To the right of the steering wheel, all of the buttons you're going to need for your daily stuff, but don't use quite so much. Lane control, traction control, blind spot monitoring, and dash brightness you can change once in a blue moon. You don't need to access those very often. And down below is the port for accessing the charging and various charging functions. Apart from that, this interior looks exactly as you would expect in any other passenger car. Let me just turn this on by putting my foot on the brake. This car is now on and ready to go. The dashboard has come into life. There's a 7-inch screen here for the driver and an 8-inch screen for everybody else. This also has all the car functions, including CarPlay. Down below are the buttons to directly access the functions that you need daily, the radio on and off, and tuning button. Below that there's the single zone climate control. It's worth noting the hybrids have dual zone climate control. You can turn the whole thing off if you want. Best thing is, when you hit this switch, it brings up your EV functions. As you can see, we've got 206 kilometers to empty, and there's a charging station 360 meters away. We're currently at 92% of battery. Interestingly, with this car, with the air conditioning, you can have just the driver's side working. I can't imagine why you'd want to do that. Directly under the climate controls are the access ports, including power, and you can see there's 2 of those. Because this is front-wheel drive with an engine in the front, there is no drive tunnel. So this bin is incredibly deep. A Qi wireless charger, so your phone just sits down here. 2 cup holders, and also the buttons for seat heating, steering wheel warming, and auto brake hold. The interior is Nice, but I would certainly not call it premium despite the Infinity sound system. The front-wheel drive hatch sits fairly in the small segment, but the cabin feels more capacious than it has any right to be. The dash is set way back, and the doors, headlining and carpet are 25% sugarcane byproduct. Other plastics are made of powdered wood, recycled plastic, and believe it or not, volcanic stone. Driving is really easy. Once you've pressed the starter button, you just press D, the doors lock, and the handbrake is released. Alrighty, let's get out of here. As you can hear, it's silent except for the merest hint of a whine. Very reassuring. There's a phone app that monitors your car no matter where you are in the world and will show you where the charging points are located. Only the hybrid gets a full-size spare. The plug-in and pure EV models make do with puncture repair kits. Secreted deep within is a 28 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion polymer battery good for 230 kilometres. The 88 kilowatt electric motor has a mountainous 295 newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 time is not what I'd call brilliant. It's somewhere around 9.5 seconds even in sports mode, which seems odd because it feels much faster. All Ioniqs come with Hyundai Safety Sense, which includes blind spot monitoring, and it's also got rear cross traffic alerts so that when you're at Bunnings you're not going to bang into a tradie, and active lane assist. I can feel the lane guidance tugging the wheel back into the middle of the lane. This is all topped off with radar cruise control. They really have thrown absolutely everything at this, and you can hear as we're going along on the road now, it is so quiet. The ride is surprisingly good. Because the batteries make the car a little bit heavy, you can kind of feel that when you go over bumps. But it doesn't upset the car, and I suppose the thing is this isn't a sports car. It's not meant to be a sports car. Controls are standard as per other Hyundais, except for the steering wheel paddles. Instead of gears, they change the level of regenerative braking. You might expect an electric car to be bewildering, but it isn't, at least not until you enter the dystopic world of recharging. Whatever your car says it's got, it doesn't have. The second you use the air conditioning, seat cooling, seat heating. Remember, most heating in conventional cars comes from the radiator, the hot air in the hot water in the radiator. In an electric car, all heating and cooling has to come from the batteries. Even though LED lights save power, it isn't enough to prevent you from chomping down on those batteries like a bogan at a barbecue. You watch the range figures like you're expecting them to boil. But all is not lost. If you're clever, you can charge for free. I put the plug share charging app on my phone. It directed me to my local shops. Hidden away in the bowels of the car park is a row of cables hanging limply from the wall. After pressing the green button, the dashboard proudly displayed that I had 1 hour 55 minutes to a full charge. Drat it all, it wasn't a fast charger. It will charge to 80% on a fast charger in just 23 minutes. Sadly, there are very few fast chargers. I stared soporifically at the dash for a moment, then accepted my lot. I went upstairs to buy the bits for my taco dinner. I had a coffee and a light lunch and returned to find that after 1.5 hours my range had gone from way below half to almost full. At no time was I asked for my credit card, and you get 2 hours parking for free, so the whole charge I got for nothing. The thing that we have to remember is that most trips are short trips. The commuting that you do day to day, the trips to the shops, the driving your mates to the pub because you're the designated driver. And if you've got an electric car, believe me, people want to ride in it. People wanted to ride in this car, despite the fact that it's a bit of a plain Jane. I was struck by the fact that that row of EVs looked like the Earp's tethered steeds at the OK Corral. Its Achilles heel is finding a charger. There are nowhere near enough chargers to be considered ubiquitous or convenient, and most of us that live in strata buildings won't have access to a plug at home, and that really gives me the irrits. Batteries have an 8-year 100,000 kilometre warranty in Australia, but our lucky American friends have a lifetime warranty to the original owner. That gives me much hope. Warranty other than the battery is 5-year with 12 months roadside assist. If you service your car with Hyundai, you get roadside assist and free map updates for up to 10 years. The 1,500 kilometre service is free, and they are $160 thereafter. Let's face it, the most expensive bits to maintain are the oily bits, and Ioniq doesn't have any of those. I rate Ioniq at 9 out of 10. It's one of the cheapest EVs around, and the hybrid versions are even cheaper. That's not to say it's cheap, just cheap for an EV. And that's it for this week. 9 out of 10 Hyundai Ioniq. Not for what the car is, not even for how it drives, but for what it represents, which is the future of motoring. As always, don't forget, hit the little round symbol just there to subscribe.